Hi, I'm Helen, and today I'm going to be talking about the path to 5D, and particularly the second dimension. I've managed to track down the elusive Simon M. again to ask him some more frank questions. So Simon, what can you tell us about the second dimension, and what are the most important things for people to learn about so that they can take the journey of the second dimension as smoothly as possible?
Right, 2D is really about the concept of relationships.
Okay.
Now, when you say relationships, your mind instantly goes to partners, family, stuff like that. But to get through this smoothly, I want you to sort of start right at the very beginning and think about your relationship with the structure of life itself.
Okay.
So, for example, if you've got through 1D and you've done well in 1D, you're going to have certainly understood the reflective nature of the universe. So,
Mm-hmm.
therefore, you're going to get into this concept of you're going to be very aware of the reflections that you take in to everything as a relationship. So, for example, when we were discussing 1D, we discussed about the concept of do you love yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2D is really about, well, do you love the structure of life? Are you
Okay.
angry with life itself? Because if you're angry with life and the structure of life, you think it's unfair, real Bruce Almighty, it's burning me like a magnifying glass, that kind of disharmony with life,
Yeah.
then your relationship with everything in it, from animals, plants, to people,
Mm-hmm.
is going to be continuing the same disharmony. Do you
Okay.
understand that?
Yeah.
So, therefore, really, we need to sort of consider the concepts of how to develop our relationship with the structure of life itself,
Okay.
embrace what life truly is. That requires a little bit of studying and awareness to what it is.
Okay.
We then got to look at the concept of, well, okay, before we even get into human relationships, what about relationships with things that are at a different conscious level? So, for example, animals.
Right.
I've worked with many people and I've witnessed many shamans talking with animals, and it would seem almost unreal to explain to somebody what that feels like to experience when you really see Dr. Dolittle at work. It's very strange.
I bet.
But at the same time, as I encourage anybody who is listening to this to go and find Coco the gorilla,
Oh, yes, absolutely.
okay, and then look at the concept of what relationships truly are between man and beast.
Mm.
I
That
think that
will
becomes
really,
very important.
yeah, that will really change the way you think when you've seen that clip.
Okay,
Absolutely amazing.
so the more you can get in touch with the facts of other creatures' consciousness and their ability for conscious potential,
Mm-hmm.
you start to understand relationships on a deeper level,
Okay.
and you understand that relationships are not just about physical action, but they're about soul interaction as well.
Mm.
And that's where compassion really is important.
So you said that you've seen some amazing shamanic animal experiences, people relating with animals. Um, is it something that we're all capable of doing?
I would say yes. I, I've trained several people in the concept, same as I was trained by a well trained shaman. And when you experience it, when you see the interactions occur, there
Mm-hmm.
is a sense within yourself that you just know we're all capable.
Mm.
We, it's hard to explain, but I've met people that are almost doing it with their pets without realizing,
Mm-hmm.
very close to full connection with the animals.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yet there are some people that have a real disregard for all creatures.
Mm.
Those are the ones that are going to find it the hardest to connect.
Okay.
You know, those people are often, hard to deal with from the human's perspective, let alone an animal's one. Those
Mm.
are the kind of people the animals will just turn around and walk away from.
Yeah.
So to make connection with an animal, you've got to appeal to it on an energy level, a soul level as such.
Okay, that makes sense.
So if your energy is in some way repelling them,
Mhm.
they're not going to want to connect with you. It's the same as you walk down the street and you see somebody that really kind of repulses your energy. They're either loud or abusive or whatever, and you think, do you know, God, please don't let that person talk to me.
Mm.
But that's
Yeah.
exactly how it feels for an animal looking at a guy that doesn't, or a female that doesn't particularly like animals.
Mm.
Can you,
Yeah.
can you kind of see that? They
Yeah.
kind of feel that same anxiousness.
They sense it.
Absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, you study animals for 5 minutes around different groups of people. I mean, it's amazing how often if you see a group of people out in the woodlands, um, the country folk are just so in touch with the animals. They can just walk up to animals and push them out the road if they're in the way. It's no problem. Yet you see a tourist going through that forest, a city dweller that's come to the forest for 5 minutes, and they will literally just sit there in the car honking the horn for 10 minutes, just being stared at by an animal. The animal's not going to move anywhere. So it's highly entertaining when you see the difference between people that are really in touch with the animals and people who aren't.
Okay.
But we all have the potential, I think.
Okay. And I think it's an amazing thing to explore. Why wouldn't you want to?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I've experienced things that seem, I would love to explain them to you now, but it really is one of those seeing is believing. And
Mm.
I just urge anybody to go out to nature with the right frame of mind and an honest equality to the animal you're talking to.
Mm.
It's one of the things that is so important to understand that no creature was put on this planet to be above the next.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think most people don't really consider that. I know, I've been just as guilty of that in the past with animals. Not in any cruel way, obviously, but I have considered that they are an animal. They don't have the same kind of feelings that we do. I don't think that way anymore. But there was a time in my life when I did. 'Cause I
Most
didn't.
people do. I mean, it's only recently that some of the greatest minds of the modern time, including the late Stephen Hawkins, got together and sat and wrote the Cambridge Declaration, which really is a sort of, wow, it is what it says. It's a declaration
Hmm.
of animal consciousness, of the fact that animals have consciousness and that they are as aware as what we can be.
And that's the Cambridge Declaration.
Cambridge Declaration.
Okay. If you've not read it, then I seriously recommend that you take a look. Um, and I think everybody should read it at some
It's
point.
fascinating, but yeah, I don't know how well it will sit with the meat eating community in the world. That's all
Mm,
I'm saying.
there is that, but then at the same time, you've got some of the world's most amazing minds who all came together to create the Cambridge
Well,
Declaration.
that's right. I mean, when you consider the total IQ that was in the room at the time with the evidence that was placed in front of the panels, I think you've really got to consider the fact that it's a truth. It's a truth that nobody can deny anymore.
Mm,
And like I said, I urge people to go and see Coco the Gorilla on YouTube.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And what about human relationships in 2D? Are there any sort of golden answers or golden rules that will give us a better path um, through 2D?
Well, I would say, in terms of human relationships, understanding our own self in 1D
Mm-hmm.
allows us to really perceive other human beings in that same context. So, for example, we all have a mental growth to go through in life. We're not all born geniuses. You know, we have to
Speak
learn.
for yourself.
We have to learn about life. We have to make mistakes. We have to go through pain, hurt,
Yeah, of
joy,
course.
elation to form our mental structure of reality.
Mm.
Now, many people go into relationships with other humans expecting them to be the same because we're kind of sort of led to believe we're the same. And in reality, here's just a quick glance for you. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are fiery hotheads, some people are really down to earth, some people are airheads, and some people are really watery, just go with the flow, a bit drippy.
Mm-hmm.
There are 12 different types of star sign archetypes that you could potentially be aligned to.
Mm.
And there are so many different cultural beliefs and understandings around the world that when you look at that, the chance of two people really being very, very the same is very, very slim.
It does narrow it down a little bit, doesn't it?
And then when you consider as well that whatever soul that is probably a product of its soul journeys, past lives, incarnations, and lessons that it's learned along the way.
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
Every person you meet is a unique fingerprint.
Mm.
And if you go into each relationship trying to understand the uniqueness,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't fall into the mistakes of brandishing everybody the same.
That's a very good tip. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, Simon.
You are more than welcome.
And we'll speak to you soon about 3D.
If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.